Let's worship together. Yeah, we're spiritual family. As we worship together, we find greater strength in the Lord. Before I go on the message, just a quick announcement. Pastor Sam is away for the 2 weeks today and then next Sunday. He's at an AMI Institute. Please pray for him. Actually, for tomorrow, all day he's teaching, like a morning to like a late evening. It's like a packed schedule. So please pray for him. And next Sunday, again, Hee-jung and whole family will be away. So please pray for them as your senior pastor. So so they can have just a wonderful time in California. And come out, bring your friends tomorrow, next Sunday, so that we'll have a history of our record of attendance while he's away. Amen?
Amen.
All right. The title of the sermon today is Love, Antidote for Fear. My family has been building this family traditions past just a few years, and one of the things that I do is that I take each of children when they become 9 years old. I take them to one overnight trip. Basically, I want to spend time with each of my child. So all day I give my full attention to them, and that's the idea. And some people ask me, why 9? Well, it's a magical number. No, just kidding. It's just, we thought about it when Ellie was 8 years old. So, it's 9. Anyway, so recently I went to a trip. I took my daughter's third child, Joanna. She just turned 9 in January. So this year I took her to a water park in upstate New York. And she loved to go to water park, so I went there. Man, I'm getting old. I went there and I took her there. First, we got on this particular ride. They call half pipe. Basically, imagine skiers the slope, right? Half pipe, and just a little bit shorter distance, and we're riding on a tube. And this is the first thing we got on. We stepped into the park. We saw the ride right in front of us. We got there. We got on it, and then we got there, and then we're on the tube. And I saw my daughter's face. She's a little bit nervous, and then going down. She has such excitement at the same time the nervousness. She enjoyed so much. She got down and then, Daddy, let's go again. So we got on this ride 2 times. But she loved the ride, but I was dizzy and something happened to my stomach. And I was just feeling that I was getting old. And so after all the rides in the park, what I realized was that the one that we rode was one of the scariest the ride in the entire park. We just didn't know it. It was just right there. We just got on it. More than being scary, what it hit me was that it kind of spins. So I hate teacup. It scared me the most because as I was spinning, it looks like a nothing, but I get dizzy and my stomach is not settled. So that's what happened. So we got this riding and afternoon after lunch, my stomach was fully unsettled, and I was beginning to a little bit afraid what's gonna happen. But then my daughter Joanna, she loved the park, particularly this wavy pool. You know what I'm talking about? It creates the wave. She just jumped up and down. She loves it. And then I was going, because I was there basically to spend time with her. I just cannot sit down, whole day. So in my pain, in my kind of worry, in my fear, what's going to happen, right? And then I stick through, I carry through the day. And in between, and I have to confess, I spent about 30 minutes just knocked out and I had to rest. Other than that, I was, entire day riding with her in between. She would, let's go to this ride and that ride. I did everything. So, toward the end, last about 2-3 hours, it was tough. And, I had a lunch, and then, she's so bad, and then just my daughter, she just loves it, and then, I didn't want to disappoint her. So with the fear of kind of vomiting, I'm sorry, but I had to endure. I didn't want to really ruin her and her this 9-year special trip. She waited for 9 years, maybe a few years. But I didn't want to disappoint her, so I carried through the entire day, and was really suffering. I was exhausted, and I was getting really older. And last week I got my life insurance. That's for the different reason though. But anyway, I'm talking about this because I want to talk about fear. What are you afraid of? Fear is one of the common, powerful emotion that everyone has. I don't really care how brave you are, and I don't really care, what you have done in the past. Fear is a powerful emotion. It's the most common emotion to the mankind. Some, dumb people do, fearless things. It doesn't matter whether you got PhD on fear or not, whether you accomplished a lot or little. It doesn't matter. It is a common emotion to all human beings on this planet. And recently, in Korea, these people were freaking out because this MERS. Did you see the picture on the internet? I saw one wedding picture, right? Everyone was wearing this white mask in that, family picture. And can you imagine? Just a lot of Photoshop they have to do. Like, most important picture, everyone has this mask because it's a fear. Fear creeps in and then it does something in our lives. And so fear, a lot of people have fear of public speaking. Daniel actually mentioned last week, we don't like speaking in public. And there's a fear of failure, fear of living a meaningless life, fear of uncertainty, fear of darkness, fear of death. I remember one time my son Isaiah, he just sobbing and crying, and what's going on? And then he just thought about death, and then death will, separate us. And he was just crying. Maybe he was like this, 7 years old or something. We have this kind of fear. But then there are fears of inner healing issues, of fear of rejection, fear of authority, fear of trusting somebody. Then there are other fears, the fear of height, fear of riding a roller coaster, fear of germs, fear of insects. I didn't know fear of spider is so huge, but people have a different kind of fear. So here's the thing about the fear though. It really negatively affects our life. Fear often it limits us. It paralyzes us from moving toward what we really want to pursue in our lives. A fear enslaves us. A fear basically robs our life. A fear does something to us in a small scale, in a bigger scale. Small things could be like what I experienced in the park. If I reacted in fear, I might not have a good time with my daughter. It's like teaching your children, if you're married, eating the raw fish called sushi, right? Get overcome fear, you're gonna love it, right? But people have different kind of fear. Those are kind of small things, but there are big things in our life that we are afraid of. Because of fear of failure, that you did not take this opportunity, it could have changed your life. Because of this particular fear, you did not pursue this particular relationship that could have really changed your life. There are fears in our life really robbing our life. So at dark corners in our life that we experience this fear, we find our soul kind of afraid and fearful. Some fears are rational. There might be good reasons why you need to be afraid. For example, if you are bitten by a snake, there's a reason why you need to be afraid of a snake. But some of the fears are irrational. There's no good reason to be afraid of. So basically, what it takes is an imaginary mind that worst thing can really happen to me. It can happen tomorrow. You hear about something and then, wow, what if that happens to me? It's just in your mind a lot of times. This in your mind is kind of rolling and you're afraid. It's kind of embarrassing for me. I used to be afraid of many things. Things like even when I get a new computer, like a laptop, I'm afraid that what if my bag, strip just break down and then drop the computer? Studying the library, what if the building collapses? Am I the only one feeling that way? I feel very naked here. But different things, I was afraid of different things, but it's unfortunate that fear can be the primary influencer in our lives. Fear really can control our life. Fear can really paralyze us from making good decisions. And fear can steal away the life that we want to live. And that is why fear is such a powerful thing that God understands our fear. And that is why the Bible says so much about fear. If you read the Bible, there are often you come across this phrase God is speaking, do not fear. Do not be afraid. Fear not. There are over 100 times in the scripture, God is constantly reminding us, do not be afraid. Fear not, for I am with you. So I want to take you to the Bible where the emotion of fear is mentioned in the very first time. It is in Genesis. Early on in the human history, fear gripped the heart of the very first human being, Adam. And God obviously created everything so beautifully. And God spoke to Adam, this is what I created for you. You can do anything. Please enjoy. This is all for you. You enjoy it. You subdue it. This is for you. But there's one thing, and God told him, we all know, do not eat this particular tree of knowledge of good and evil. Other than that, you can do anything you want. And we know the story. Adam and Eve, they disobeyed God and ate from the forbidden tree. And the Bible describes what happened in that moment. In the cool of the day, God appeared to them. God appears to Adam and Eve where they are at, and God speaks to them. And then as God speaks to them, this is Adam and Eve, Adam answering, I heard you. I heard your voice in the garden. And I was naked, so I was afraid. So I hid. Here it is. Very first time in human history, this emotion of fear gripped in the heart of a man, Adam. I heard your voice, and I was afraid. I was naked, so I hid. Let me ask a question. Why was Adam so afraid? Was it because he heard God's voice in the garden? Think about it. The day before, God was there and speaking to him. There's nothing new. There was never a time that God was not there. Even in the fall, even when Adam made a mistake, even when he sinned against God, God was speaking to him. Voice was always there. God cared for him. Nothing changed. But he was afraid. Adam was afraid. Why? Was it because he was naked? The same thing. He was naked the day before. Eve was naked. He looked at her, beautiful. Why all of a sudden was Adam afraid? He was in fear. Why? Essentially, nothing has changed from the outside. It was not the circumstances that brought fear. Where did fear come from? It wasn't from the outside. It came within him. Adam was afraid because he was in a relationship with God. And in that brokenness, he felt insecure. He felt inadequate. In that brokenness, and as he disobeyed, something happened within himself. It wasn't from the outside. Nothing changed. The circumstances didn't change. What changed was inside. He felt incomplete. He felt insecure. He felt inadequate. It's that violation of relationship with this creator of his soul. And as in that brokenness, something within him happened. Deep inside of fear, we have this feeling of inadequacy and insecurity. We'll never feel what Bible calls shalom. You probably heard this Jewish, the Hebraic word shalom, which is peace oftentimes. It is that completeness, this feeling of so secure, feeling that nothing can change inside of us. This shalom of God is that something that deep within us, we're so secure and adequate and we're complete. Nothing can change us and attack us when we are in the shalom of God. And that is why Jewish people, when they go to somebody's house, that's their greeting, shalom. The peace of God be with you. You're secure in God. And God brings peace in your life. You're complete. You're adequate. Without God, we always feel inadequate. And that is our struggle of human life. But with God, even with God, we try to fill that void with something else, and we're in fear. We hide ourselves behind this thing called inadequacy. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of whatever that you fear. Do you find yourself behind that closet of insecurity and inadequacy? Think for a moment. When there's a fear, is it because something out there is haunting you? Most of the time we fear is because within ourselves there is inadequacy. It's not from outside. Yes, when there's a tiger comes at you, you might be fearful. Does it ever happen? In the life of Hai, it does, but it doesn't happen to us. I guarantee it will never happen. Never, but it doesn't happen. It's in our mind. The point is, oftentimes, it's in our imaginary mind. We create the stories, this event, something worse can really happen in my life. So we're driven into the fear, and we feel insecure, inadequate. So when we engage in ourselves in this ministry, we experience conflict and some kind of confrontation with people. And I hate that feeling of confronting with people. It is one of the difficult parts of ministry. But you think about it, you encounter that too. You have conflicts with people. Why do you hate that feeling? It's because deep inside we're dealing with feeling of inadequacy, insecurity. Our fear is rooted in this kind of feeling, incompleteness. And you go, I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I don't have what it takes. When somebody really finds about me, I doubt they will love me. With this insecurity and inadequacy that make us feel in such a way that we are in fear. It's not from the outside. It's coming deep within our soul, in that brokenness. You're afraid that because you're going to find out what other people say about you will be true if you venture. If you try this, yeah, my dad said about that's true. You're afraid of that. It's coming from this heart of insecurity. Just one episode in my life that really haunted me for quite some time. I'm a decently athletic person, and I love to play sports. So junior high and high school, I love to play basketball. I'm not so great at it now, but I used to be pretty good. Anyway, so I was playing basketball, and then my crowd had changed. I had this wrong crowd, and in high school I changed, and then I was hanging out with these nerds, and then I loved so as we study, and then I pull them out, let's go to play basketball, right? And then these guys are awkward, when they play basketball, it's awkward. But because I play with them and they get better and better and better, and this is a highlight of my moment. I never imagined this, but there's a high school festival. Each class, there's a competition going on, and I made up with this team of my nerds friends, new friends, and we were playing basketball. In my shock of reality, we became the finalists. And then what happened was, there's the other wrong crowd guys, always playing basketball. They are another finalist. And I hated losing. And I was thinking, look at my nerd friends, the way they play, there's no way. And these guys, I've been playing with them for junior high, and no brainer, it's not gonna work. And so I came up with this excuse. I pretend to be sick. Why are you laughing? You just inside. Please don't let it hurt me, man. Inside, I was excited that we came to the final, but I hated losing, and basically I gave up. I just played the game, but not with the full potential. And years later, this thought just didn't leave me, and the fear of losing. So it led me to another thing. Well, I'm not sure why I'm sharing the story today. It led me to do the things that I don't want to miss out anymore. So one time I was just speaking at a retreat in Dallas. My wife was there, my family was there, and then we're at this retreat center, and then there was an inflatable on the lake, little lake. And then the idea is, there's a guy goes on top, like a maybe 2-story building high, and jumps down, and somebody sits there. So when it jumps down, because of air, it pops up and goes into the water. So I'm a guest speaker, so I need to show that I'm something. So I was sitting there, the heaviest guy. Came on top, and then he jumped. And I expected jumping high and then going in. I was just sitting on the edge, that I just slide down. So fast, I freaked out. If you know me, I'm not a good swimmer. But I was just showing off these guys at this retreat. And I almost drowned myself. The retreat could have ended right there. So I try to overcome my fears in different ways. And maybe some of you are trying different ways too. And there are so many wrong decisions and choices that I made because of fear. And Jesus knows about our fear. And these are the words of Jesus. Matthew chapter 10, and this is Jesus speaking to the people full of doubt, full of fear, and this is what Jesus says. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet, not one of them will fall to the ground outside of your Father's care. And even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. And Jesus is saying to all of us, don't you know who you are? Don't you know that you are cared? Don't you know that you have significant value in the eyes of God? Don't you know who you are? I care about you. To the point where I'm willing to die for you. The hairs that you have, so many, I number them all. I know exactly who you are. I know exactly where you have been. I know you. Despite all the past, I still am committed to you. Jesus speaking to all of us. Don't you know you're valuable? And I love you. And I care about you. And basically, Jesus is saying this. That our fear, nobody can change the fear. Nobody can change the feelings of inadequacy that we have deep in our soul. It is that love of God comes in our lives. When we encounter His thought of us, what He says about us, how beloved we are, how much He cares about us. When we encounter the love of God, and there's something in us, that insecurity, that the inadequacy just melts down. Whatever that you are afraid of, finance, relationship, failure, opportunity, germs, heights, that's the area where God is not present. Fear crept in, and you don't give a room for God to move in, and therefore you continue to feel unstable, restless, and incomplete. And that is why Jesus is reminding us, do not be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell, but afraid of the one who deeply loves you. He's the one that you need to be afraid of. Fear the Lord. Fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. It is the fear of God, how He thinks about us, how He values me, that changes everything. It's the fear of God that takes us to a place where I can be secure. I can be actually adequate in God. In that place, we can exercise our life in freedom. Do not be afraid of anything at all, but be afraid of God. If you are afraid of something, what that fear does, it creeps in, it steals your life. And it has mastery over your life. Think about your life. Things that you fear about, things that you're afraid of, they have a mastery over your life. How do you get rid of the mastery? It is that this antidote for our fear is the love of God. He is the one who knows everything about you, good and bad, your disappointments, your shortcomings, your failures, your struggles, or your ups and downs, your joy, even success. All those things God knows, and He is committed. It is a perfect love drives out fear. 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear. Because fear has to do with the punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love. What the scripture is saying is that when we truly know the love of God, that while we find that adequacy, completeness, and security in God, that we can live in freedom. Otherwise, we're going to continue to fear. And it's going to rob our life. Perfect love casts out fear. Love of God is its antidote for the fear. In His love, we're accepted, we're cared, and we're embraced. And you are who God says you are. His opinion of you is far more important than anything else. You are no longer slave to enemy and fear. That's a song that we sing. We're no longer slave to enemy and fear, but rather we are beloved children of God, sons and daughters that God deeply loves and cares. Fear really sets the boundaries of our freedom. Whatever we fear, it will be the mastery. It will have mastery over our life. It dictates our freedom. If you have fear of height, you're not going to live in the high-rise penthouse. Forget it. Doesn't matter how nice it is. If you have a fear of insects or spider, it's going to limit you where you want to go, where you can live. Fear sets the boundaries in our lives. It is like you're living in a prison where you have the key inside of you. And that key is your identity and your soul's adequacy in God's love. So my question to you, what are your fears? What is this fear that's robbing your life away? And what are you going to do when this fear creeps in your life? And how long are you going to stay behind the feeling of inadequacy? How long are you going to let this fear control your decision and rob your life? let me close with what I began with. I love my family, obviously, and for obvious reason. And I really confessed to my wife when we were dating, even when after we married, we wanted to have a big family. And we talked about number of kids, but I genuinely confessed to my wife, honey, I don't know if I can be a good father. I never had a father. I don't know how to be a father. I agree, I came from a big family. I want the idea of having a big family, but I'm really afraid. How can I be a good father? I don't want to be like my biological father who were gone from my life. Selfish. Irresponsible. I don't want to be that father to my children. And the fear, and then a lot of time when we had Ellie, I made a lot of mistake. I'm sorry, Ellie. I just didn't know how to be a father, and I made a lot of mistakes. But I'm pretty confident now. I'm better, right? This fear of not knowing how to be a good father, it still sometimes affects me. But my wife, she always encouraged me, you're a good father. Words of encouragement, her support, and her love. And over the years, I realized, you know what? I have a good father. I have the father who loves me and gave me this confidence of being a good father. So I love all those 9-year trips so far. 3 of them, Jeremiah is waiting another 3 years. I took Ellie to this, New York City, just her and me, and we watched this Broadway show, Mary Poppins. We loved chicken and rice. We loved it. And then I took Isaiah to this camping trip. It's just a memorable, riding bikes, just up and down, and fishing, and eating Korean food that he loves. It was a good time. And I love, cherish this moment of just playing with my daughter Joanna, just a wavy pool. Even though I had that, I loved it. But it came to my thought, what if I held on to that fear? Things that you're dreaming about, things that you want to be, the person that you want to be. There are fears. Because when God calls you to something, they usually fear that what God wants you to overcome. To really see God is good and God cares about you. When that moment comes, how are you going to respond? Is that love of God. Cast out fear. We have that adequacy, security in God Himself.